From the land down under, with the rock at its centre, comes the little Aussie watchman. TLAW today, the mathematics of design. Design is implicated both by common sense and also by mathematical deduction within the DNA of our cells. By implication, design also points to a designer, the master of design. For example, an average protein is approximately 300 amino acids in length, which itself is coded by about 1,000 bases or bits of information within the DNA. Mathematically, one can work out that the possible number of combinations from 300 amino acids. Given that there are 20 possible amino acids in 300 potential spots, the number of potential proteins in an average size protein is 20 to the power of 300, which is also 10 to the power of 390. That's 1 with 390 zeros following it. For some perspective, it is believed that there are 10 to the power of 65 atoms in our Milky Way galaxy. It is a huge number of possibilities, most of which are useless. To even get one protein to form by random chance, nature has to search through an absolutely immense number of possible combinations in order to get to a protein that may or may not be useful in the environment that it is in. This throws up a couple of questions. One, how many useful proteins is there in that huge number of potential possibilities? And two, how easy is it to go from one functional protein to another? We'll deal with the first question first. It has been calculated from experimentation that for a very short protein, one made up of 92 amino acids, that there is one useful protein for every 10 to the power of 63, that is 1 with 63 zeros following it, of useless proteins. So for random chance to find the one functional protein, it has to search through an extremely immense number of possible combinations. So immense that it far outstrips the common sense within the time frame of the supposed age of our universe. In perspective, it is roughly equivalent to the chance of a blind spaceman finding a single marked atom by chance among all the atoms in the Milky Way galaxy. And this is just to get one functional protein of 92 amino acids in length. Okay, so getting a new or de novo protein from random chance is as close to impossible as you're probably going to get. So what if DNA exists that already codes for a protein? Surely a few random chance accidents can produce another protein quite easily. Hold on to your horses. It's not as easy as you might have been taught. Unfortunately, to change a particular functional protein into another one has a significant problem. To truly get a new function, the gene that produces the new protein, in the vast majority of cases, has to go through an immense number of combinations that are not useful for that organism. That means natural selection will get rid of the intermediary steps because they are not useful. Useful intermediate steps are in the vast majority of proteins not present. To grasp this more fully, one must understand that proteins work in the three-dimensional space, and therefore their function is determined by stable folds within a protein. To go from one stable fold to a uniquely new type of fold means trespassing through the void of no folds, which is absolutely no use to the organism. Using site-directed mutagenesis experimentation, it has been discovered that in a protein that is, say, 150 amino acids long, that there is one stable protein fold in every 1 to the power of 74 possible combinations. Therefore, random chance has to go through 1 with 74 zeros following it combinations to get from one stable protein fold, and therefore possible useful protein, to a totally new stable fold, and therefore useful protein. To get from one protein to another also seems completely impossible. To put that into perspective again, assuming our Earth is 3.8 billion years old, which I don't believe for a second, scientists have estimated there have been about 10 to the power of 40 organisms that have ever lived on this planet. Assuming that each organism developed one mutation in the particular gene that needs to be changed, an extremely generous assumption, then life over 3.8 billion years has only gone through 10 to the power of 40 mutations, compared to the combination space of 10 to the power of 74 useless possibilities to get from one useful protein to another. And that is just for one protein of 150 amino acids in length. Once again, completely impossible. Random chance is useless as a designer. Therefore there must have been a designer, an almighty God who formed the universe with his hands and our DNA with his words.